I'm Erin Powell, and I'm a senior BFA candidate at Winthrop University. Today I'd like to talk about my thesis work and my creative process as an artist. If you'd like to learn more, please visit my website, erinpowellfineart.com. Though my concentration is in photography, I often take an interdisciplinary approach to making artworks. I find using a variety of media allows me to communicate my ideas in a more detailed and thorough way than using photographs alone. I use art as a way of processing my experiences. Recently, my creative process has surrounded a desire to cope with and explore situations in my life that carry a great emotional weight. To do this, I devised systems for organizing my thoughts and emotions into concise and logical groupings that I can investigate and pull information from. In my thesis work, my focus has been on my late grandfather, Mike Lyons. Though we never had a falling out or any markers of a bad relationship, I never had a close relationship with him. As he grew older and started having serious health complications, the fact that I hardly knew him at all became clearer and motivated me to try to learn more about him. My investigation into his life began in 2018 after my grandfather had a heart attack that left him alone and disabled on the floor, crying for help for 7 hours. Moved by a desire to know more about what that harrowing experience must have been like for him, I decided to interview him and make a video surrounding the ideas of bodily erosion from time and the harsh reminder of our own mortality. Here is a clip from this video entitled Ashes of Memory.
My biggest problem I have now is when I fell, there are little crystals in your ear. And if you move them, like, you think you're straight and you're not.
After my grandfather passed away in December of 2019, I started making the rest of my thesis work, entitled The Space Between Tick and Talk. Having only his belongings and the bits of information I recorded in my video, I set out to discover who my grandfather really was by breaking what remained of his life into objects, photographs, records, and texts. A major portion of this investigation is shown in my table of collages. To make these, I took some of my grandfather's belongings from his home and forced connections between them to create groupings I felt could convey specific aspects of his possible personality. In these collages, I used my intuition to combine seemingly unrelated items of his past into readable collections and use them as a tool for pulling information from. I insert objects from my own life, as well as questions I might have asked him if I still had the chance, in an effort to see how my personality compares to the one I am attempting to orchestrate. Through this process, I am able to see the collaborative nature of the search I have embarked upon, in that my grandfather provided the items, but I am curating them at my own discretion and deciding what they mean. As a result, I realize the revelatory element of my work comes not from what I am hoping to find, but rather from the very process I have created to carry out my search. Instead, I find my attempts to ascertain the truth about who my grandfather really was, despite having no way of knowing if my findings are correct, actually speaks more about the kind of person I am. The importance of this collaboration of sorts is reiterated in this part of my thesis work, entitled Merge Narratives. This work features an X-ray of my mother's skull and a set of Viewmaster reels that I have augmented. With this piece, I hope to communicate the blending of my grandfather's life with my own that defines my process, and highlight the third entity that is created as a result. I emphasize this idea in my Viewmaster reels, in which I have replaced half of the original reels imagery with found film transparencies of famous artworks to create a third, layered image made visible only when the viewer uses the Viewmaster. The other main portion of my thesis work lies in these frames. Inspired by the work of artist Taryn Simon and her methods for organizing data visually, I decided to divide my images by content and have them clearly separated to denote the distance I am attempting to cross in my efforts to understand someone who has passed away. In the upper left portion of my frames, I reveal another attempt to compare my grandfather's life to mine. I pull images from various moments in his life and juxtapose images of similar situations in my own life in an effort to clarify visual similarities and differences. I chose to make the images of my life slightly larger to symbolize the stronger presence they have in my mind, as well as my greater certainty of their meaning. On the right of these frames, I include text to emphasize the relationship between the two sets of photos. I also use this text frame to explain the connections I found in my process of comparison. In the bottom left, I include photos I took of my grandfather's home after he was forced to leave. These photos symbolize the vastly empty and fragmented space I am attempting to navigate in my search for answers. I clarify my thoughts on these images in the text frame as well. In my last frame, I attempt to reveal my final interpretation of who my grandfather was. I condense my findings into specific elements that I feel express the various parts of an identity that I have both uncovered and created. I leave this frame without further explanation and with less clear organization than the others because I am unable to have these kinds of comforts in my own mind. As a whole, I want my viewers to understand the process of investigation that I have taken on while trying to understand my grandfather. I also encourage my viewers to experience some of the same feelings of frustration, confusion, and distance that I have felt while embarking on this journey for truth. Lastly, I would like to promote a consideration of how my efforts, in a way, mimic how we all search for meaning in our lives, despite our inability to know when we will die, nor what will come after. Thank you.